I'm Parker, and I'm here to talk to you guys about St. Nicholas Day, which is very different than Christmas. So, St. Nicholas Day has been celebrated since St. Nicholas's death in the 300s AD. So, St. Nicholas was born to a Greek Orthodox family, and his parents died, so he was raised by his bishop uncle, and he became ordained as a saint. Nicholas was like a modern, or not modern, but kind of less old Jesus, and he would go around and help the people of wherever he lived. So, yeah, the historical beginnings of St. Nicholas Day began in one of his, not parables because this actually happened, but in one of his escapades where he was helping this family of four. There were three daughters and a dad, and the family had no dowry. So, one night a week for 3 weeks, St. Nicholas would go and throw these like golden balls down the chimney of the family. Yeah, one telling says it's like through a window, another says it's through the chimney, but the most common one says that it went through the chimney, and each golden ball landed in the stockings of the daughters that they had let out to dry. So it was a very generous action of his, and like it started in the small town where he first did it, and it eventually spread throughout all of Europe because St. Nicholas was revered as kind of like the patron saint of sailors. So the sailors would like spread the word of his tale and his helping others, and that eventually reached mainland Germany, where it became very prominent in their local beliefs and holidays. So the golden balls is one of the big symbols of St. Nicholas Day, because they represent like his generosity and his willingness to help others, and it is commonly agreed upon that he did it anonymously to preserve the identity of the family and also to preserve their dignity. So in modern day St. Nicholas Day, the parents don't buy gifts for the children that they put in the shoes they leave out. It's often neighbors that do it. So yeah, you have the golden balls, sorry about that tangent, and the other is the mitre, which is the hat that saints wear. St. Nicholas probably did not wear one around the time of his death in the early 300 AD, but like in his more formal depictions, like as the Catholic Church rose to power and like they had him as a saint, he was just eventually drawn with one. So yeah, a traditional holiday or a traditional family routine on St. Nicholas's Day is that it's usually celebrated the night of December 5th, going into the day of December 6th. And I talked to Nicole, who is the German exchange student, and she said that generally it is like a day of like goodness towards others, where you like perform good acts to the neighbors, and you'll leave out wooden shoes at the end of the night, and they'll be filled again usually by neighbors or like usually by or sometimes by family members with candy and small treats. And only recently did adults start to get stuff. So it's celebrated more out of tradition. They celebrate Christmas over there as well, but it's meant for children and is just meant to largely be a day and a night of replicating the good deeds or just performing good deeds like St. Nicholas would. Traditionally, however, little kids would leave their shoes out, and legend tells that St. Nicholas, in one of his journeys across the sea from Turkey, where it's believed that his tomb was and where he stayed for a while, that he freed a slave, and they were called Zwarte Pieten, and they would help him. Somehow he went from having just one to many, and the Zwarte Pieten would go around and either put in the coal in your shoes if you were bad, or they would put in twigs also if you were bad, and sometimes if you were particularly nasty, they'd drag you away to Spain in sacks. But they would also put in sweets if you were good. So that's how it's traditionally celebrated. Yeah, the good deeds were still performed. So it hasn't really changed in essence from what it was, but it has become a bit more commercialized, and it's starting to lose popularity due to Christmas, but it's celebrated again out of tradition. And for the economy of Germany, it's pretty awesome. A lot of people will go out and they'll, again, like buy candy and sweets, so it's a minor boost in relative areas for that. And I looked it up, and it's interesting that crime rates usually drop around St. Nicholas Day as well, on like the few days before and after it. as people are still performing their good acts. So, yeah, there's St. Nicholas Day. Don't be terrible and let a Krampus get you, or else it'll drag you to hell and eat you. So, there's that thing that wanders St. Nicholas Day. Have fun.
Hi guys, I'm Rachel Glusterman, and I'm going to talk to you guys about Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest is a beer festival that takes place in late September, early October for about 2 weeks, and it spans from about 16 days to 18 days depending on whether or not they have a national holiday that Monday of the last Sunday. Basically how Oktoberfest came about is in 1810, Prince Ludwig, later became King Ludwig I, married Therese of Saxe-Hildburghausen, and they basically invited all the people of Munich to come party with them after their wedding in this big field, and there was horse races and beer, and it was a lot of fun. Mind you, Munich was a much smaller city at this time. Well, people loved the party so much, they're like, hey, we should do this again because it was fun. Let's do it again. So they did it again, and it just started to become a tradition in Munich. There was, again, horse racing, and an agricultural thing kind of came out of it too, because it was a smaller town with farms surrounding it. And as it developed, the horse racing ceased in 1960, but it became actually quite a worldwide known festival. People do it here in America all the time. We have, obviously, Oktoberfest in Grand Rapids and stuff like that. For Oktoberfest, there are only 6 breweries that are allowed to brew beer, and it has to be brewed within the city limits of Munich. So there's only 6, and they set up these huge, huge tents in this field where the party originally took place, also known as Die Wiesen, which is named in honor of Princess Teresa. 2 symbols of Oktoberfest, it's kind of a given, is a keg, because, yeah, keg, and also the beer monk. You can see, if you look on, like, Google at any pictures, you'll just see these people carrying, like, handfuls of mugs, almost at an unhumanly rate. It's quite amazing, actually. The interesting thing about beer, though, too, is that it's 6% alcohol, so it is more than the normal alcohol percentage in beer, and that's why a lot of people will go and they think that they can handle more when they actually can't, because they forget that there is a higher alcohol percentage in this beer. Let's see. Kind of an interesting thing about Oktoberfest, because it is such a big holiday, or festival, so to speak, in Germany, is from, I think it's noon to 6, families can come and they play what they call quiet music, or kind of more like the traditional German music that you would think of when you think of Germany or Bavaria. And then after that, that's when they kind of bring out their, you know, more modern music like hip and pop, because apparently they believe that more fights break out with that kind of music. You know, I have to say there's not really a whole lot of like folklore that comes out of this. It's not a really, really old tradition. It's maybe 200 years old, so kind of. But everyone's kind of a little too drunk to probably remember all their stories. But one thing that did happen that was very unfortunate was there was a bomb in the middle 2000s, and it killed 13 people, left 201 people injured, and 68 seriously injured. It was one of the biggest just kind of terrorist attacks in Germany since like the Munich massacre. So it was kind of a big deal, but they found out it was just one perpetrator, and they haven't had any problems since, or even before then. The thing about Oktoberfest that somebody should know as well, obviously, Oktoberfest is a place where people can drink. And there's obviously more culture than that. They have these huge beer tents. The biggest one could fit 12,000 people, actually. It was ginormous. But, you know, you can take your family there during the family hours, during quiet music time, and, you know, have your parents enjoy, you know, a couple pints of beer, enjoy good food, traditional food. But if you're traveling from the outside the US, people recommend that you usually get there, well, you have to book hotels months in advance because it is such a popular festival. Also, you know, just get a few days to kind of spend time in the city. But really, if you're just there, you know, you're just kind of enjoying the tradition of it and the party essence of it. As I said before, there have been agricultural parts of this, and that is still true for today, except it occurs every 4 years and in the back corner of the festival grounds. The other thing that does not take place anymore that used to are the horse races. Those are no longer prominent, but there are rides and different tents that you can go to, either beer tents or carnival tents. So it really is kind of a cool family thing. You don't just have to get drunk. There's lots of family activities and even just friend activities that you can do other than drinking. Oktoberfest is just a really great way for people to kind of enjoy. Oktoberfest is just really a great way for people to enjoy a tradition that's been long-standing and really just formed out of a kind of a cool marriage party that everybody was invited to, that the party, I guess, never stops. So there you have it, Oktoberfest.